Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. I'm your host, Andrea, bringing you commentary you can use. So I hope that you all are doing well. It is a little after 12:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time where I am. So if you are watching now live or if you're watching the replay, I want to say thank you so much for supporting the channel right here on Andrea Speaks TV. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I would like to invite you to take a moment to hit the subscribe button. When you subscribe, make sure you also hit the all notifications button or bell so that whenever I do upload new content, you will be notified. All right, y'all. So I don't know whether to say tonight's topic or to say this morning's topic, but either way, the conversation that I want us to have this evening or tonight or this morning, whatever you want to say, right? Whatever you want it to be. The conversation I want us to have is very serious. You all know right here on the channel, I've talked about food shortages for quite some time now, even back when food shortages were not being talked about like they are now. So I want to bring you some information. Again, this news is not to cause you to be in a panic or to cause you to be frightened. I'm simply saying, hey, look, this is something that happened in the past during times of war. And maybe we need to look at history um, and allow that situation or that time period in history, maybe we need to take a look at it and use the information and the knowledge gained to help us prepare for possibly what's to come. Okay. So, again, thank you all so much for your support. I want to have a conversation about food rationing. Okay. Could food rationing be coming? And if so, are you prepared? Okay. You all take a moment again to hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, share this video. I feel like this is information that we all need to know about. So share this with someone you love, a family member, a friend. Maybe you have a group that you're in, a group chat, and you all are just, talking about the times we're living in, wondering what to do, what's really going on. Well, I want to invite you to join our community right here on the YouTube channel. All right, y'all. So let's get into it. I am going to share my screen with you and I want to share some information. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Let me know that you're watching. Say hello in the chat. I have said before, y'all, this is not a channel where I'm doing all the talking. Well, I am doing all the talking because, I don't have it, you're just hearing my voice. But I like to interact with my viewers. So if you are watching now live or if you're watching by the replay, put a comment in the chat. Give me some feedback. Let me know your thoughts on this topic. First of all, I want to know: have you ever heard of food rationing? Do you know what food rationing is? I'm going to talk about all of that in tonight's episode. So please make sure that you watch this episode in its entirety. You don't want to miss a minute of it. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Again, thank you all so much for subscribing to the channel. All right, so the topic I want to talk about tonight is food rationing coming, okay? Presented by Andrea Speaks TV. And today is June 7th, 2022. Okay, what you see in the background of this picture, behind the words, you actually see ration books that were used during, like I said, the times of war. So, this is not something that's made up. This actually happened in history. So, I want to have the conversation and ask the question: are we headed back to food rationing here in the United States? Okay. Or possibly wherever you're watching from. I do have subscribers, I do have viewers from all parts of the world. So if you are tuning in internationally, I want you to ask the question as well. Is this something that could very well be coming to your particular area? Okay. All right. Let me check something before we get started. Again, thank you all so much for your support. Okay. All right. So, in this presentation, I have included some pictures. Okay. So, here's a picture. All right. Here's a picture from the past. It says, "These foods are ration." Okay. What foods do you see in this picture? Okay. Someone type in the chat, whether you're watching now live or by the replay, what foods do you see in this picture? Okay. I see meats. It looks like sausages, uh, maybe some oils. What do you see in the picture? Name some things that you see. I see butter, cooking oils. It also says canned meat, fish. Okay. These are some real life, real world items that were actually rationed. Now, I want to share some information with you, and I'll keep, going through the slide. But I want to share some information with you that comes from history. I believe the website is history.com. Let me double check. Let's see. I think it's history.com. Yep, just like the History Channel. Okay. All right. So the title of this information, or the title of this article says, are you all able to hear me clearly? Can someone let me know in the chat? Are you all able to hear me? Okay. Okay. So the title of the article says Food Rationing in Wartime America. Okay. So I'm going to give you some information. This article was originally written in, it says on May 23rd, 2014. It was updated in 2018. Again, this is information coming from the past. But what I want you and I both to think about is, okay, let's look at history and let's see, is history actually repeating itself? Okay. All right. So let's talk about World War. I'm going to talk about World War One, World War Two, and then we'll actually look at what's going on currently. Okay. All right. So food rationing in wartime America. Okay. World War One. Again, this information comes from history.com. And the article says, following nearly 3 years of intense combat. Okay. So right now, someone type in the chat, what war, so to speak, is going on currently? Okay. Does anyone know in the chat what war is currently going on between countries, um, you know, in our world? What war is currently going on? Okay. Remember, I said, y'all, this is an interactive channel. So I do like to interact with my subscribers and my viewers. Okay. Someone let me know what war is currently going on, or one of the wars, one of the main wars that's being talked about. If you want to call it a war, what is one of the main wars that we hear now in headline news? The war between Russia and Ukraine, right? Okay, we know that that's going on. So, with that said, I want us to think about, when I talk about wartime, I want you to think about what's currently going on. Okay. All right. So the article says, pertaining to World War One. Okay, following nearly 3 years of intense combat since the onset of World War One, America's allies in Europe were facing starvation. Okay, listen to this, y'all. Farms had either been transformed into battlefields or had been left to languish as agricultural workers were forced into warfare. Okay, so these people, what they're saying is they had to leave the farms and they had to go and fight on the battlefield because a war was going on. Okay, and the article says, and disruptions in transportation made the distribution of imported food extremely challenging. Okay. On August 10th, 1917, shortly after the United States entered the war, meaning World War One, the U.S. Food Administration was established to manage the wartime supply, conservation, distribution, and transportation of food. Appointed head of the administration by President Woodrow Wilson, future President Herbert Hoover developed a voluntary program that relied on Americans' compassion and sense of patriotism to support the larger war effort. Okay, you all make sure you like this video, share this video, um, and also subscribe to the channel. Okay, in order to provide U.S. troops and allies with the sustenance required to maintain their strength and vitality, posters urging citizens to reduce their personal consumption of wheat, wheat, fats, and sugar were plastered throughout communities. Okay. Now, the thumbnail to this video is an example of the type of posters that were used during the wartime. Okay. Um, as a matter of fact, let me keep going. Okay. All right. Now, let's see. Okay. Slogans such as food will win the war compel people to avoid wasting precious groceries and encourage them to eat a multitude of fresh fruits and vegetables. Okay, think about the current times that we're living in. All right. They encourage them to eat a multitude of fresh fruits and vegetables, which were too difficult to transport overseas. Likewise, the article says promotions such as Meatless Tuesdays and Wheatless Wednesdays implored Americans to voluntarily modify their eating habits in order to increase shipments to the valiant soldiers defending our freedom. Okay, so think about all of the shortages that are currently happening uh, in the United States and across the world. What I want us to think about is, could it ever come a time where, you know, um, if this alleged war, if it continues on, and the U.S. we have to send troops, and we have U.S. troops as well as troops from other countries fighting on the battlefield. They could very well bring back the idea and the process of rationing food back to the United States, and pretty much force people to modify their food, modify their eating habits, eating less, so to speak, so that the soldiers on the battlefield could have more to eat. Okay, that's what I want you to think about. What are your thoughts on that? Would you right now be prepared for something like that to happen? Okay, so think about it. Again, this is not headline news, but this is something that, based on my research, I'm seeing more and more talks about this as a possibility. Even right now, there are other countries, such as Venezuela. I'm going to talk about another country coming up in the broadcast where, food rationing is going on. And so, you may think to yourself, okay, this is the United States, one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest country in the world. How could something like this go on? But I'm here to show you, okay, I'm not just here to tell you, but I'm here to show you that this is something that has happened in history, and it could very well repeat itself and happen again. Okay. All right. So again, we're talking about World War One. You can see right here on the screen. It says this store. Here's another picture. Okay, this time I want you to know that sugar, okay, sugar was also a food item that was rationed. On the screen, it says this store is pledged to conform to the sugar regulations of the U.S. Food Administration. Okay, so I want you to also know that this concept of food rationing is one that is also regulated, monitored by the United States government. Okay, you all let me know. Do you find this information helpful? Are you saying, you know what, Andrea? I didn't think about this. You're actually giving me something to think about. Okay. Let me know your thoughts on the presentation so far. Okay. And I also hope that you all are able to see the broadcast clearly. Okay. Because someone let me know, are you all able to see it clearly? Are you able to hear me clearly? Please let me know, because I don't want to, I have a lot of information to share, and I don't want to keep going on and you're not able to hear me or see me clearly. Okay. So if someone could let me know, I would really, really appreciate. Okay. All right. As a matter of fact, let me type it in the chat. I think everything is good, but before I get to going, I just want to make sure. Okay. All right. At any point, if you can't hear me or see me, please let me know. So I'll keep going. Okay. All right. Again, if you're just joining, welcome. I'm Andrea from Andrea Speaks TV, where I bring you commentary you can use, talking about the possibility of food rationing coming back to the United States. Okay. Based on the current times that we're living in, we know that there's so much going on. We don't know what's going to happen next, do we? But one thing that we can do, or continue to do, is to get prepared. Okay. So again, sugar was one of the items that was rationed during World War I, and it says your sugar ration is 2 pounds per month. Okay, so think about whether that's per person or per family. Imagine you can only purchase, okay, you can only purchase 2 pounds of sugar per month. Okay, and after that 2 pounds is used up, you would just have to do without until the next month rolls around, or whatever the time period, months, weeks, um, or days, until the next particular time period rolls around, and then you can get another 2 pounds. Okay, again, this is all a reality. Okay. The article also says to help families, this is during World War I. The article says to help families prepare meals without these former staples, local food boards were established to offer guidance, canning demonstrations, and recipes with suitable replacements for the provisions that had become so limited. All right. As a result of these conservation efforts, food shipments to Europe were doubled within a year, while consumption in America was reduced to 15% between 1918 and 1919. So think about that, y'all. They were basically asking the American people back during World War I to eat less, so that more food, it says, could be shipped to Europe. As a matter of fact, according to the article, it says that the amount of food the amount of food shipments to Europe actually doubled. Okay, so again, a lot of times people look at what's currently happening in the world and they say, well, you know what? Um, it seems like a lot of American people are suffering, but at the same time, some people have it hard here, but at the same time, the U.S. is sending money and sending aid to other countries, almost as if the country is not taking care of its own. Okay, so I want you to think about that. Okay, the fact that during World War I, it says the consumption in America was reduced 15% between 1918 and 1919, but at the same time, the food shipments to Europe doubled. Okay, so imagine, let's bring it into perspective and talk about right now. So imagine in 2022, right? There's if you want to call it a war between Russia and Ukraine. Imagine them asking us to cut back on our food consumption so that they can send more food shipments to Russia and Ukraine. Think about that. Okay. All right. The article also says this is concerning World War I. Even after the war had ended, Hoover continued to organize shipments of food to the millions of people starving in Central Europe as head of the American Relief Administration, earning him the nickname the Great Humanitarian. Okay. Excuse me, y'all. So again, oh, I gotta plug up my computer. So notice how they said even after the war ended. Did y'all catch that? So they're basically saying that even after the war ended, they continued to send food. They continued to send food to Europe to the millions of people that were starving. Okay, so think about right now some of the things that they're saying, right? Make it a little bit less bright. Okay. Thank you all so much for tuning in and taking time out of your early Tuesday morning or late Monday night, whichever you prefer, to tune in and learn. Okay. We're talking about the topic of food rationing. And again, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel if you have not. Join our community. Okay. If you're someone who, like myself, you're concerned about the times that we're living in, you're seeking truth and transparency, then this is the place where you need to be. Okay. All right. So imagine, you know, the war is over. Okay. Let's imagine this now. Everything is over with regarding what's currently, let's fast forward to where we are now, the present, right? Um, and, let's say that everything currently going on between Ukraine and Russia has stopped, but we're still, as a country, still sending food overseas to Europe, okay, and other parts of the world. But yet, our people here, on the home front here in America, are still being told to cut back on food. And for many people, they may not be able to find food, or they may not be able to have enough food to meet their needs. Okay. So, again, these are all things that I want you to think about. Okay. All right, so that's what happened during World War One. Okay, so now I want to go to World War Two. Let's talk about what happened in World War Two as it relates to food rationing. Okay, thank you all again so much for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you all. Okay, all right, let me see. I clicked the button and put something on the screen. Okay, thank you all so much. I told y'all one day I'm gonna have a team that takes care of all of this for me. All I have to do is just come on and be live and be talking. But until then, okay, your girl, I gotta talk and I gotta manage all the controls, okay? But that's all right. I definitely don't complain, okay? All right, y'all. So again, I'm on talking about food rationing. Could it be coming? And are you prepared? Okay, do you all know what food rationing is? Let me know in the comments. Have you heard that term? How would you describe food rationing? What do you think of? What is a word or words or phrases or sentences that come to mind when you hear the term food rationing? Okay. All right. So let's talk about what happened in World War II. Okay. During World War II, the article says, again, this comes from history.com. World War II, soon after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor and America's subsequent entrance into World War II, it became apparent that voluntary conservation on the home front, meaning right here in America, was not going to suffice this time around. Restrictions, listen to this, y'all. Restrictions on imported foods, limitations on the transportation of goods due to a shortage of rubber tires, and a diversion of agricultural harvests to soldiers overseas all contributed to the U.S. government's decision to ration certain essential items. Okay, think about what's currently going on, y'all. Um, the United States placed sanctions on Russia, and there are certain items, I can't name them all, but there are certain items that cannot be imported in from Russia. Okay, Um, again, it says restrictions on imported foods, okay, which is, currently here in 2022. We have restrictions on imported foods, limitations on the transportations of goods due to a shortage of rubber tires, and a diversion of agricultural harvests to soldiers overseas all contributed to the U.S. government's decision to ration certain essential items, okay? Um, the article continues by saying that on January 30th, 1942, the Emergency Price Control Act granted the Office of Price Administration, or OPA, the authority to set price limits and ration food and other commodities in order to discourage hoarding and ensure the equitable distribution of scarce resources. Okay, by the spring, Americans were unable to purchase sugar without government issued food coupons. Okay, those are some of the coupons that you see right there on the screen. Okay. Um, okay, also it says vouchers for coffee were introduced in November, and by March of 1943, meat, cheese, fats, canned fish, canned milk and other processed foods were added to the list of ration provisions. Okay, so again, y'all, imagine going to the store and not being able. Look at what it says here on the screen. Okay, imagine going to your local grocery store or farmers market or wherever you shop and seeing the sign that says never buy ration goods without ration stamps, never pay more than the legal price. Okay. So I imagine during that time period, a lot of people were trying to, they were trying to work around these government regulations um, and things of that nature. But imagine going into a store. Okay, let me go back to some of the images that I put up earlier. Hello to everyone watching now live or watching by replay. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm here on the East Coast again. Right now it's 12:48 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So wherever you're watching from, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Okay. I'm on tonight or this morning, early this morning, whichever you want to say, talking about food rationing. Okay, do you all know what food rationing is? I'm talking about food rationing. It could be coming. Okay, right now I'm going back in history and I'm talking to you about how food rationing was going on during World War One and World War Two, and how based on the current economy, the times we're living in, food shortages food rationing could very well be making a return. And I want to ask the question, are you prepared? Okay. Do you think that you're prepared for the possibility of food rationing? Okay. All right. So again, imagine, let me go back to some of the images. Okay. Imagine, hello, hello. All right. Hola. Thank you so much for your support. Okay. So imagine going to the store, right? Imagine going to the store and you can only buy a certain amount of each food item. Okay. Here's a picture from back during the wartime, whether it was World War One or World War Two. You can only buy 2 pounds of sugar, okay, per month, whether that's per person or per family. Um, Going in the grocery store and seeing meats, cheeses, um, oils, butters, things like that. Okay, these were all. This was the reality back during World War One and World War Two. Okay, right, right. We gotta hope that our neighbors, our families, are getting prepared because again, it's happened before in the past, and who's to say that it wouldn't happen again. Okay. I do have some information on the screen. I may have covered some of this before, but it says on January 30th, 1942, the Emergency Price Control Act was passed, granting the Office of Price Administration the authority to set price limits, ration foods, and other items that were needed on the war front. Okay. Again, they basically asked or forced the American people to cut back on their food consumption so that they could not only feed the soldiers who were fighting, the American soldiers, but they also had to ship food, um, to Europe, okay, to also feed the people there who were hungry. So think about even now when they talk about food shortages, right? Think about when they talk about food shortages and also food insecurity around the world. It may seem crazy to some, but it very well. Okay. Again, I'm telling you all this. I'm giving you this information because I want you to really think about, okay, yes, it seems like our administration will want us to do without so that others, even if it's others from other parts of the world, can have what they need. Okay. Think about that. It's a very real reality. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, so going back to the information on the screen, vouchers. Okay, I'm sorry. It became so bad that Americans weren't able to purchase sugar without a government issued food coupon. Vouchers were introduced for meat, cheese, fats, canned fish, canned milk, and other processed foods that have been added to the list of ration provisions. Okay, families, it says, got coupon books or stamps from government agencies and submitted them during purchase. Each household got roughly 50 points per month. Okay, so this was a point system. The OPA, or the Office of Price Administration, OPA, allotted a certain amount of points to each food item based on its availability. Okay, customers were allowed to use 48 blue points to buy canned, bottle, or dried food, 64 red points to buy meat, fish, and dairy each month. That is, if the items were in stock at the market. Okay, so think about this, y'all. So not only are you being restricted and limited to a certain amount of each type of food per month, but what if that food isn't even in stock? Okay, so think about it. You all know right here on the channel, I've taken you with me live in the grocery stores, and I've showed you where a lot of the items at different, points in time, they were just simply out of stock. Okay, so imagine here you are, you've used up all of your points from the previous month, and now it is here's a new month. You're ready to go to the store, stand in line, and spend your coupons, but the items that you need are not in stock. Okay, again, y'all let me know, is this good information? Um, let me know. These are things that I feel like we need to, be really thinking about. Okay. All right. Again, posters were used. Some people would call this propaganda. Were used to let people know, and also to encourage people to, do their part, so to speak. Do your part, so to speak. Show your patriotism. Okay. Uh, as it was said, showing your patriotism. The poster that I used, which is also the thumbnail for this video, is the one on the right side, and it says, "Do with less, so they'll have enough." Okay. Notice how they or they'll is underlined. Okay. I take that to mean the soldiers or other people overseas. And notice how at the bottom it says, "Rationing gives you your fair share." Okay. On the left side, is another poster. It says, "After the fighters, you come first. Share the meat." Okay. Also, as I was doing my research and looking at a lot of the posters, I noticed that there were no Black people in these posters. So, I would want to know, during this time period, was it harder? I could imagine, just based on the time it was, that, you know, it may have been hard for Black Americans to participate in this rationing system. I could just imagine, again, based on the time period, based on the period in time that, um, I'm gonna do my research on that just to see, from the Black community standpoint, how was it during the times where food was rationed? Was it that they got the last bit that was left? I'm gonna do some research and follow up with another video to let you all know. Okay, but that's something to think about. Um, looking at the images and the pictures, I didn't see any Black people, Black Americans, in any of these posters. So, what did that mean for Black Americans during that time period? Okay. All right. So, let me keep going. Thank you all so much for hanging in there with me and getting the information. Please leave me a comment, like this video, share this video, let me know your thoughts. Okay. All right. So, let me continue. All right. So, I talked about what was going on during World War II. Oh, let me also add this before I talk about what's going on currently. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Okay, the article also says this is during World War II. Again, this comes from history.com. It says every American was entitled to a series of war ration books filled with stamps that could be used to buy restricted items along with payment. And within weeks of the first issuance, more than 91% of the US population had registered to receive them. The OPA allotted a certain amount of points to each food item based on its availability, and customers were allowed to use 48 blue points to buy canned, bottled, or dried foods, and 64 red points to buy meat, fish, and dairy each month. That is, if the items were in stock at the market. Okay, due to the changes in the supply and demand of various goods, the OPA periodically adjusted point values, which often further complicated an already complex system that required home cooks to plan well in advance to prepare meals. Okay, we even need to be thinking about that today. Okay, I know a lot of times, even for myself, it's very convenient to go out and order from a restaurant. But what if the restaurant says, hey, we can't open today because we don't have enough food, or we had to, even as a restaurant, we had to restrict, we were restricted on how much food we could buy and cook and serve in the restaurant. So, you know, I would encourage you as much as possible to, learn how to cook at home. Cook or learn how to cook at home. Um, I've even, talked about here on the channel the fact that robots are actually serving food, they're cooking food in restaurants. And, I just feel like if you're able to cook your own food, then you know what's in it. Okay. So again, I hope that I'm, dropping gems and giving you all really a lot to think about. Again, food rationing is something that did actually happen here in the United States during World War I and World War II. Um, and it could very well make a return based on the way things are going currently. Okay, you all let me know, is this helpful information to you? Okay, the article also concludes by saying, despite the fact that ration books were explicitly intended for the sole use by the named recipient, okay, a barter system, all right, listen to this, y'all, a barter system developed whereby people traded one type of stamp for another, and black markets began cropping up all over the country in which forged ration stamps or stolen items were illegally resold. Okay, so remember I showed the picture right here. As a matter of fact, let me take some of this away off the screen so you all can see it. Okay, I'm still here, but you won't be able to see me. So do you see where it says never buy ration goods without ration stamps? Never pay more than the legal price. Okay, I'm sure that they were saying that for a reason, because as I said, people were trying to, people were, I guess at that time, people were doing whatever they had to do to survive. And um, even if that meant, hey, trying to work around the system. Okay, I'm not saying that's right, but people were doing what they had to do at the time. Okay, wake up and rise up. Said, yes, this is helpful. Keep putting the word out. Thank you so much for your support. Okay. And I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed, so that you can stay connected and I can keep sharing information. Okay. Thank you so much for um, those wonderful words of support. Wake up and rise up. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right, y'all. So, again, um, okay, by the end of the war, talking about World War II, they said restrictions on processed foods and other goods like gasoline and fuel oil were lifted, but the rationing of sugar remained in effect until 1947. Okay, now, y'all, right before I went live, okay, I did see an article about sugar again. Okay, so I'm gonna be looking that up for some reason. When all other, like I said, when all other restrictions had been lifted, for some reason they were still rationing sugar. Okay, so like I said, I saw an article about sugar, but I'm gonna go and do some research later on, and I'll follow up with another video where I can talk exactly about what's going on currently with sugar. Okay, so um, that talks about that article I just read talks about World War II. Okay, let's talk about what's going on presently. Okay, now this information I didn't print out the article, I don't think, but I want to encourage you to do your research. Okay, yes, I want you to listen to what I'm sharing, but at the same time, I want you to do your own research as well. Okay, all right. So if you want to look further into this topic, um, research this. This comes from the New York Times. I'm gonna be honest with y'all now. New York Times, a lot of times they charge you, or you can preview the articles, and then after a certain point, they want to charge you, or they want you to subscribe. So, I don't have the subscription, but I was able to capture the headline that Cuba rations, staple foods, and soap in the face of an economic crisis. Okay, so again, present day, I want you all to realize that this is happening in other parts of the world. Now, you may say, okay, Andrea, I don't care because this is Cuba. I'm in the United States. Well, I'm here to say, listen, you better care because if it's happening in other parts of the world, who's to say that it's not going to happen here in the United States? Does that make sense, y'all? Who's to say that it's not going to happen here in the United States? Okay, that's something that I want all of us to think about. Now, so I do want you to research that. You can just simply type in food rationing in Cuba. Okay. And let's see, food rationing in Cuba. And I'm not sure if this article, I will have to look back, but this article actually was from 2019. Okay. So May 11, 2019. Let me see if I can just read some of it. Okay. Hold on, y'all. All right. So this comes out of Havana. Okay. It said the Cuban government, this is back in 2019. Okay. The Cuban government has begun widespread rationing of chicken, eggs, rice, beans, soap, and other basic products in the face of a grave economic crisis. Okay. Um, let's see. Economists have given equal or greater blame to a plunge in aid from Venezuela, where the collapse of the state run oil company has led to a nearly two-thirds cut in shipments of subsidized fuel that Cuba used for power and to earn hard currency on the open market. Okay, so again, in 2019, before the pandemic, this was going on in Cuba. Okay, another story. Let's see, another story. This comes from Bloomberg. Let me make sure I didn't skip anything. Okay, this information comes from Bloomberg, and the title of this article says Rising Costs at US food banks mean people who need it most are getting less. Okay. The caption says budget constraints mean that food banks and pantries are having to pull back at a time when hunger is increasing. Okay. And I would even say that today we are seeing that now. As more and more people turn to food banks, food pantries, even the food pantries are finding it hard to meet the increased demand of people that are coming in saying, hey, we're in need of assistance. Okay. Are you all saying the same things in your area? Where, they're saying that food banks are running out of food. Now, I'm going to be honest, in my area, at one time, and they may still be doing this, the churches were doing food drives where people would just ride by and pop the trunk and they would give a box of food. But I haven't seen any signs or posters about that recently. So I would imagine that, even churches, local churches or local food banks who at one time, they had an abundance of food they could just give out to the community, they may have even had to cut back because, wherever they were getting the food from, it wasn't coming in as it once was. Okay. All right. So let me keep reading. Actually, I'm going to pull up this article and give you some highlights. Thank you all so much. Make sure you like this video. I want as many people as possible to see it. And also share this video. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay. All right. I'm trying to see if I can find this article again. So give me just a moment. Rising cost. And please, you all, make sure you do your research. Again, this is not news that is like at the forefront. And I'm gonna be honest with you all, as I was doing my research on food rationing, I didn't really see any I didn't see many current stories, to be honest with you. It's almost like they don't want us to know that it's going on in other parts of the world. But it is going on. Okay. All right, so I was able to find the Bloomberg article. Okay, you all let me know in the comments. Okay, again, this is an interactive channel. I want to hear from you. Okay, I'm not on just to, talk to myself. I'm sharing the information with you, and I would like to hear from you. Um, so if you would please leave a comment in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. Okay. Let me know also, is this helpful information? Are you saying, you know what, Andrea, I didn't even think about this? You're giving me something to think about. As we hear more and more, as we hear and see more and more on the news, I really feel like this is something that we need to consider and start planning for. I don't want you all to be caught off guard if one day they all of a sudden say, okay, we need to help the people in Ukraine, in war torn Ukraine, as it's been referred to. So, we're going to ask you Americans to show your patriotism and cut back on food. Okay. Do you think you and your family are prepared for that? Would you be willing to do that? Okay. You may not have a choice if it is mandated by the government. Okay. All right. So just to share a little bit from this particular article, again, it comes from Bloomberg, and it says in Omaha, okay, Omaha, I'm assuming that's Nebraska. Okay, it says the food bank for the Heartland is having to slash, listen to this, y'all. In Omaha, the food bank for the Heartland is having to slash its food spending budget, resulting in about 2 million fewer pounds of food for the people in the 93 counties it serves. Okay. The Open Door Pantry in Eagan, Minnesota is handing out 4 pounds less per person on average. And for the first time in its 35-year history, the West Alabama Food Bank is having to cap the amount of food it gives out. So, it makes me ask the question, and I would like to hear from you. What do people do? What are people to do when the very source where they turn to for food, when that source can no longer meet their needs? Think about that, y'all. This is a reality. What are people to do? And that's why, I'm going to say again that, it seems like more and more, um, we need to consider and really take action in being as self sufficient as possible. Okay. Um, are you growing your own food? Do you have a home garden? If you don't have the space, for whatever reason, like if you live in an apartment, um, townhome, um, multifamily home, um, do you are you growing food inside? Okay, believe it or not, and you can do your research. There are ways to grow food inside. Okay, they have grow lights. You can check, and again, like I said, please do your research. You can check your local Home Depot. You can check Lowe's. They do have grow lights. Okay. Someone shared in the chat. I didn't think about this farm. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, someone shared in the chat. I didn't think about this form of rationing. In some ways, we already have limits on certain food at certain times. Exactly. I remember I took you all live with me in Sam's, and remember how they limited the packs of water. I think you could only get like one pack. That's a form of rationing. And we just have to so in that case you have to say, okay, well, if you're in need of water and you can only get one pack, and let's say you have a large family, um you know you got to be able to have water for everyone in the household, right? Water is essential for human life. And so I feel like now, definitely now, if you haven't already thought about this, you need to be thinking of ways. Okay, do I have enough water stockpile? um, do I have a way to, if I needed to purify or clean rainwater? Okay, and drink that rainwater or water from another source. And I know there are, different laws in, different areas. So by no means am I telling you to break the law. when it concerns when it comes to getting water. But again, I just want you to be prepared. Okay. All right. Okay, a little more information to share. It says food banks and pantries across the US are stretched so thin by soaring operating costs that they're having to ration what goes out to feed the nation's hungry. You know, in my particular area, and let me know, have you all seen this? Some neighborhoods, okay? There's a neighborhood in particular that I know of in my area. Do you all know how normally when I see these, it's like a standing, I don't know if you call it like a case, but have you all ever seen that some neighborhoods will have like a it's like a library, like an outside library. It's like in this little house on a stand. I call it like a case, like it has a door where like if you take a book, like take a book, put a book back, something like that. Do you all know what I'm talking about? Well, there's a neighborhood in an area that I pass quite frequently, and instead of putting books in the little house or the little case, they were actually putting food. So they actually had a mini food pantry right there in the neighborhood. And do you all know that one day I passed by, maybe a month or two ago, and I actually saw a family that had bags, and they were actually taking the food out of the food pantry. You know, they put like canned goods, non-perishables in there. And do you know when I passed by the next day, um, the little house or the little mini food pantry was empty? And it really made me realize that wow, there are people out there, and I'm not judging. By no means am I judging anyone, but there are people out there who are really going through it and who really may not have enough food for their family. So in other words, what I'm saying, there are really people that are in need. Yep, yep, there was food in there. So instead of having the books, they actually had food items in there. As a matter of fact, when I drive by again, I'll take a picture and share here on the channel so you all can see it. But yeah, it's a reality. Let's see. Yeah, so based on this article, even food pantries, food banks are having to cut back as well. Okay. And this is current news. This article was published March 31st, 2022. Okay. All right. Hey, Armana, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. Someone shared, definitely not judging, but I never considered that people were in need to that level. It was definitely eye opening to me. And I was just like, wow. Like I saw the people. It was a lady and a man, and they had their plastic bags, and they were actually taking the food out of they were actually taking the food out of the mini food pantry, and they were taking it with them. Yep. All right. So if you're just joining, I'm on tonight talking about food rationing. I'm asking the question: food rationing could be coming, and are you prepared? So food rationing was something that was popular during World War I and World War II here in the United States, and based on the way things are going in our current economy, who's to say that it very well, um, could be coming back in the future. Okay. All right. So let me keep going, y'all. Thank you so much for staying up and tuning in with me. Whether you're watching from the East Coast, the North, South, Midwest, West Coast, I appreciate you all so much. Okay. All right. Here's an article from the Financial Post. And they're saying this is an article from April 22nd, 2020. And they're saying that food rationing is the new unnerving reality for grocery shoppers once spoiled for choice. Okay, so a little, over a month into the pandemic, this was an article by the Financial Post. And the caption says North American shoppers are finding they can't get everything they want as grocery stores ration in demand items to safeguard supplies. Okay, so that's another thing. They may say, okay, well, we have enough of this type of item now, but we got to make sure that we can sustain the supply until we get even more in. So they may, have enough, but then they just may start rationing. Okay. You all remember back during the pandemic, what were they rationing? Water. Um, what were some of the items? You all help me out. What were some of the items that were being rationed right at the start of the pandemic? Water, paper towels, toilet tissue. Y'all remember those things that were being rationed, right? Okay. Let's see. It's getting really serious with these food and medication shortages. We must self ration our food and be disciplined. Okay. Also, someone said, I must admit that we in the USA are spoiled and used to getting what we want when we want it. Yep. I completely agree, Armana. Okay. Meat. Exactly. Meat was being rationed, right? All right. Let me see if I can pull up that article again from the Financial Post. Cleaning products. Exactly. Lysol, cleaning wipes, all of that, right? Okay. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull up a few highlights from this article. Okay, I found it. Again, this is from April 22nd, 2020, which was what, a month into the pandemic, right? All right, let's see. Okay, so here's a few headlines from this article. It says, um, at a public store in St. Petersburg, Florida, handmade signs limit customers to 2 packages of beef, pork, and Italian sausage. In Toronto, shoppers at a West End Loblaws, I'm assuming that's the name of the store in Toronto, can't buy more than 2 dozen eggs and 2 gallons of milk. Okay. That's right. Canned food, pasta, rice, flour, face mask, hand sanitizer were rationed last time. Right. So, we got to think about, to a certain extent, we've already experienced, um, food rationing, but we just didn't have the ration books and the coupons that they did back in like they did back in World War I and World War II. But again, y'all, it could be coming. Okay, I want us to all be prepared. All right. So that was just some of the things concerning this article from the Financial Post. Let me keep reading. Here's another picture. Looks familiar, right? With water, it says limit 1 per customer, any brand. Toilet paper, paper towels, bleach, baby formula, baby wipes, diapers, water. What does that say? Eggs, milk is a limit of 2. Bread is a limit of 1. Okay. Are you all seeing these in your area now? Are you all seeing limits now? I'm trying to think. The last few times that I've gone to the store, I don't believe that I've seen limits recently, but I would encourage you. Of course, I can't tell you what to do, but I would encourage you, while there are not limits, to stock up as much as you can. Okay, do what's best. Do what you feel like is best for you and your family. Okay, because when there are limits, when limits do return, and you all know, based on I did a video about this earlier where I talked about monkeypox. We don't know why they want to tell us, oh, it's not a pandemic, and we're monitoring the cases, and as of right now, there's no need to be concerned. But we don't know what their plan is. We don't know the way that this is going to go, and so who was to say that we don't see these limits return? Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Let's see. Someone shared, yes, I'm seeing limits. Okay. Tell me what you're seeing limits on. And someone else shared, not right now, but water has been low and prices are higher. Now, that's definitely true. I can definitely agree with you on that. Okay. Um, let's see. Okay, let me keep going. All right. In Fortune, okay, on fortune.com, here's a headline that I found and it said gas. This is from March 30th, 2022. And the headline says that gas in Germany, flour in Greece, sunflower oil in Spain, European countries take steps towards rationing as the war in Ukraine adds to the global supply crunch. Okay. Let me see if I can pull up this article and give you all some news on that. I think the title pretty much gave us an idea of what's going on. Fortune.com. Okay. Okay. Random things that vary week to week: canned soup, laundry detergent, pasta, and canned meat. Okay. Wow. Those are some things that are being rationed in your area. Okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I hope and pray that you and your family are able to find the things that you need. Okay. All right. Let's see. I may not be able to find this article, y'all. Fortune and SN. Let me see if I can find it. You're welcome. Okay, I think I found it. Um, let's see. Okay, so this article, okay, this again is from March 30th, 2022. And it said, I'm just skipping down. It says the German government took the first formal steps towards rationing its natural gas supplies this week as it attempts to wean itself off of a decades long reliance on Russian energy. And in Spain and Greece, supermarkets are rationing food, including flour, milk, and sunflower oil. Okay. Yes, we must stock up on water. Please don't forget to prep for your pets also. That's right. I know at one time, at least in my area, they were saying that it was a shortage on pet food. I remember going into Walmart and looking actually on the pet food aisle, cat food aisle, dog food, and there wasn't a lot on the shelves. Okay. Um, let's see. Okay. It says, let's see. Here's a quote by Vice Chancellor Robert Habit. No, I'm sorry, that's the wrong person. Let's see. I'm just kind of skimming through the article. Okay, Deutsche Bank analyst Eric Heyman wrote in a note to clients on Wednesday. He added that if Germany is forced to regulate the flow of gas in the third stage of its emergency plan, it could cause even higher energy prices, along with job and income losses and a reduction in overall economic demand from consumers. Okay. All right. So I want you all to see this is what's going on in other parts of the world. Again, some people may say, Andrea, I'm not concerned about that. I don't live in Germany. I don't live in Greece. I don't live in Spain. I'm not in Europe. Why should I care? But again, I want you to change your mindset and say, you know what? If this is happening in other parts of the world, who's to say that this would not happen here in the United States? Okay. All right. I have a few more slides to share. In Iran, okay, in Iran, the country of Iran, this article was dated May 12th, 2022. So this came out last month. In Iran, they have raised prices of food staples, stirring panic and anger. Okay, and I actually have this article printed, so I'm going to share with you. Let's see. Okay, other nations, I'm going to share that other nations have told their citizens to have food for 3 to 6 months. Yep. Why hasn't the USA government done the same? All Biden said was that food shortages is real and serious. He has said that. You know what? And I believe on is it the USDA website? There's a website, I think it's USDA. And let me see if I can find it really quickly. USDA and food shortages. Okay, they actually say on the government website that there's not a shortage. USDA.gov. Okay, so if you go to USDA.gov, or you can just type in USDA and food supply chain, They will tell you on the website, it says access to food. It's like a Q&A question. Will there be food shortages? And the answer that they give is there are currently no nationwide shortages of food, although in some cases the inventory of certain foods at your grocery store might be temporarily low before stores can restock. They also say food production and manufacturing are widely dispersed throughout the US, and there are currently no widespread disruptions reported in the supply chain. The article also says, or the question also, the answer also says the USDA and the Food and Drug Administration are closely monitoring the food supply chain for any shortages in collaboration with industry and our federal and state partners. We are in regular contact with food manufacturers and grocery stores. Okay. So if that's the case, then how can they explain the baby formula shortage? I'm still asking the question. I know that they're saying that the plant had to close down, but if they're monitoring and regulating like they say they are, then why is there such a shortage of baby formula? Why are we having to import? And I did a video about this, y'all, not to get too off topic, but again, if they're regulating, if they're monitoring like they should be, how in the world do you explain the baby formula shortage? They're also posting that online, but no announcement exactly. So I don't know if they don't want to cause widespread panic. I don't know if they really want us to be prepared. It seems like they just want us to rely on them. But you know, based on my research and the fact that they are actually funding the research um, of lab grown meat and other genetically modified foods and things like that, I would say that this is definitely a time where we don't want to rely on them to feed us. Okay, think about I did a video on this, or I talked about it rather, where the people in Shanghai, China, um, where they actually got sick from the government food. Let me see. They actually got sick. They were when they went into their forced lockdown, and for those who didn't have enough food, they had to rely on the government food. A lot of people got sick, and so again, I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. We all got to be prepared. Um, let's see. Do you think there will be food riots in USA? If so, how long do you think that will start happening? Already, people are having their groceries stolen in the parking lot of stores. I look at food. When we think about the hierarchy of needs, food, water, um, those are what we call essentials that are at the bottom of the pyramid. Okay, you can research the hierarchy of needs, and so when people are not being fed, okay, when people are not being fed, and when people are not getting water, their basic survival needs, um, you know, that is a time where many people, there could be chaos. I think that is a possibility. Um, how long do I think that will start hap- How long do you think that will start happening? It could very well be happening now. I've seen, yes, that's right, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You can see at the base of the pyramid where, food, shelter, water, things like that. Um, we have to be prepared even for that. We have to do what we have to do to even protect our families if that type of chaos were to erupt. There are people out there who, even with the recent, and I haven't covered this, but even with the recent news briefing by President Biden, I didn't watch it, but I saw where, based on his calls for gun control, gun legislation, well, the very next day, they were saying that, a lot of people went out to these stores and they were purchasing different items to protect themselves and their families. So, for that, very reason that, they're very well, if things get so out of hand and people are not able to get food, People are not able to have shelter, they're losing their homes and things like that. These are things that we have to think about. Um, there very well could be chaos, even with the energy crisis. If people, and I've talked about this right here on the channel, where experts have already warned, power companies are issuing warnings that due to the upcoming summer months and more people are trying to cool their homes, that the power grid may not be able to sustain all that. And so, you know, if the power is out for several days, weeks, you know, everyone may not know how to handle that. And, because of that, chaos may very well erupt. For how long, I'm not sure. But I do think that we need to be prepared. I have heard of instances where people are having their groceries stolen. Um, I've even read reports that they're having to guard the wheat in Ukraine, okay, that is having to be guarded because there are reports that the wheat in Ukraine, people are trying to steal it. So, again, these are a lot of these are situations, beyond our control, but we just have to do what we have to do to protect ourselves and our families and to be prepared. Okay, that was a really great question. Thank you for asking me that question. Okay. All right. So let me talk about what's happening in Iran. Iran raises the price of food staples, stirring panic and anger. Okay. Listen to this, y'all. Now, out of all the stories, I must say this one was quite alarming. And so I just want to read some of it to you. Okay. This story comes from U.S. News. Okay. U.S. News. And the article says, as I just read, Iran raises prices of food staples, stirring panic and anger. So as I'm reporting this story, I want you to think about what would you do? I want you to say to yourself, what would I do? What would my family and I do if something like this were to happen here in the United States or wherever you're watching from? Okay. All right. This comes out of Dubai, United Arab Emirates. It says Iran abruptly raised prices as much as 300%. Y'all didn't hear me. Okay, let me see if I have this on the next page. Okay, Iran. Iran is a country in the Middle East. Okay, I did put a map on the screen. Let's see. All right, so right now I'm on talking about Iran and the fact that they have raised their prices. Okay, they have raised their prices as much as 300% for a variety of staples, for a variety of staples such as different foods. I'm reading the article, y'all, but something, when I printed out, something printed over it, so I can't really read all of this. But it says it alarmed Iranians who waited in lines to get food off of the market shelves across the country in the hours before the price hike took effect. Okay, they raised the price of food by more than 300%. All right, so even here on the screen it says, hold on just a minute, let me go. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, it looks like someone is holding a pack of pasta, what looks like to be pasta. It says panic shoppers raided stores. Okay, someone earlier was talking about having groceries stolen. So listen to this, y'all. Okay, think about, is this something that could possibly happen here in the United States? It is happening and is happening in other parts of the world. Okay, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear feedback from you. Okay, panic shoppers. Okay, we're talking about in Iran. Iran, as I shared with you all, is a country in the Middle East. Panic shoppers, panic shoppers raided stores and stuffed basic goods into large plastic bags, according to footage shared widely on social media. Lines in Tehran snaked out of grocery stores late Wednesday. On Thursday, Iran's currency dropped to a low of 300 rial to the dollar. Okay. It says internet disruptions were reported across Iran as the government braced for possible unrest. Okay. Again, someone earlier mentioned food riots. Okay. This is currently happening. This has happened in Iran. Okay. Let's see. I think there will be more conflicts between states, provinces, and nations for access to water and crops. And I also saw. I do agree with that. It is a concern. And then also, I think I read a headline that mentioned like food being weaponized. Okay, which is concerning as well. What I mean by food being weaponized is that people are using um, the fact that they have access um, to food or control of the food supply. They're using that. Um, they're either providing or withholding food, um, to use that as a weapon against other countries. Okay. Very concerning. All right. Thank you all so much. If you're just tuning in, I'm Andrea from Andrea Speaks TV. I'm on talking tonight about food rationing. Okay. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I want to invite you to subscribe so that you can stay, up to date and current about what's going on all over the world. We're living in a time where there's so much going on, and a lot of times we have so many distractions out there that it keeps us from knowing about what's really really going on. Okay, so I do want to invite you to subscribe to the channel and like this video and share this video. Okay. All right, so going back to Iran, internet disruptions were reported across Iran as the government braced for possible unrest. Advocacy group netblocks.org said protests appeared to spring up in the remote and impoverished South, according to videos shared online. The Associated Press could not verify their authenticity, but the footage corresponded to reported events. Okay, the scenes, it says, the scene revealed not only deep anxiety gripping the country and frustration with Iran's leaders, but also underscored the staggering economic and political challenges facing them. Okay. Food prices across the Middle East, the article says, have surged due to global supply chain snarls and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Okay. Which both export many essentials like wheat. Okay. That's what I was talking about earlier when I said the wheat. Iran imports half of its cooking oil from Ukraine, where fighting has kept many farmers from the fields. Okay, so again, y'all, um, you know, world leaders are, pointing their finger at this war with Ukraine to say, hey, look at what's going on. That's further driving up food prices and further contributing to this global food crisis that they say is going to be coming. Okay. All right. Let's see. It says although Iran produces roughly half of its own wheat, it imports much of the rest from Russia. The war has added to inflationary pressures. Smuggling of Iran's highly subsidized bread into neighboring Iraq and Afghanistan has spiked as hunger spreads across the region. Okay. All right. Let's see. Someone shared, even though you are stacked up, I don't think that we can be fully prepared for global food shortages. It's mind blowing and surreal to think about, much less live through. It's a trip. It definitely is. We can, as much as we prepare, can you ever really say that you have prepared enough? So, I definitely agree with what you're saying. Can we ever really be fully prepared for, what they're saying? Um, but I think that we can, take necessary steps, especially when it comes to growing your own food and having food at home. There may be a time, think about during the pandemic. Now, during the pandemic, even though we were at home mostly, we could still go out, right, to the grocery store. But Think about the people in Shanghai, China, who they were pretty much forced to stay at home. They were crying out. There's video footage where people were crying out from the apartments, balconies, and they were hungry. They weren't able to go out and get the things that they needed for basic survival. And so, I definitely feel like, at least growing food at home, that's something, that we all need to be doing. Okay. And I do have a video where I taught you all how to grow seeds inside, to grow seeds indoors. I'm going to be giving you all an update on my video because I do have the plants are starting to come up out of the soil. The seeds have germinated. So I'm going to be doing a video where I show you all an update on my plants. Pretty soon I'll be putting them in the ground, in my containers outside. Okay, so I'm very excited about that. You all let me know, is this good information? I see there are 4 people who are tuning in live right now. Thank you so much for staying up with me. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know your thoughts on the video. Please make sure you like this video, okay? I should have at least 4 likes, if not more. And please share this video. I want this information to get out to as many people as possible. And if you're watching and you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. That way you can stay updated and connected when I do upload content every week. Okay, so you all let me know your thoughts about the information I shared. Um, I do appreciate your feedback, and I thank you all so much. Yes, yes, thank you. I appreciate you. Um, our Mademoiselle shared that this is great information. Again, it's not uh, headline news. Like if you type in food rationing, it doesn't really. If you type in food rationing, okay, in your Google search, it's going to pretty much refer you back to World War I and World War II, but it doesn't give a lot of coverage um, on what's currently happening with food rationing. You kind of have to dig a little bit further and do your research, maybe even refer to other YouTube videos. But I was able to find some information to share with you all. Okay. Someone else shared that there is hope, but we need to be aware and keep preparing. It's easy to get overwhelmed and slow down. Tell me about it. I shared with you all that I'm actually late getting started with my garden. I should have, the seeds and everything, I should have been had all of this stuff in the ground by now. But in my area, the southeast, the weather was very tricky, unusual weather patterns. The times when it should have, been warm already and consistently warm, we were still having, some cold fronts coming in. So I didn't want to, have done all that work and then my plants just, go away or, be destroyed due to the cold front. So that's why, I've gotten a later start this planting season. But hey, I look at it as saying, that it's delayed but not denied. Okay. All right. I think that's all I wanted to share about Iran. Um, it goes on to give a lot of information. Again, I do encourage you all to do your research. There is even food protests. Okay, protests continue across Iran. People are losing their lives. And the protest, the article says this comes from where did I? Oh, this comes from Reuters. Okay, so let me just read a little bit of this. Protests over soaring food prices continued in several cities in Iran on Saturday. This article is from May 14th, 2022. According to postings on social media, while an Iranian lawmaker told local media one person lost their life in a demonstration in the southwest. Now, as I reported, the price hikes on food were as much as 300%, and the protests were triggered um, by a cut in state subsidies for imported wheat that caused price hikes of as much as 300% for a variety of flour-based staples. Okay, the government also raised prices of basic goods such as cooking oil and dairy products. So People are taking to the streets to say, hey, we don't like this, and they're taking action. Okay. So much so that they even blocked the internet. Internet blockage observatory net blocks on Saturday reported a disruption lasting hours. Okay. Um, Wheat prices have sharply risen globally since the start of the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February, adding to the cost of subsidies in Iran. Okay, they also blame the price hikes on the smuggling of heavily subsidized flour into neighboring Iraq and Afghanistan. Okay, let's see. I haven't heard any updates regarding what's going on in Sri Lanka. Has anyone else? I did a video on Sri Lanka. Let me do a quick search on that. Okay, while I'm searching, if you all please let me know. Do you feel? I would like for you to answer this question in the chat, and I'll look up some updates on Sri Lanka. But I want you to answer the question, please, in the chat. If you would, I would like to know your thoughts. Let me know your comments, feedback. Do you feel that food rationing will return to the U.S.? Why or why not? Okay. Do you feel like, okay, Andrea, that was back during World War One, World War Two, when food rationing was popular? It's 2022. We're too advanced. Our country has come a long way. There's no way that food rationing could occur. Based on your knowledge, what you learned, and your own thoughts, do you feel that food rationing will return to the U.S.? Why or why not? Okay, and let me see if I can look up any updates on Sri Lanka. Please type your response in the chat, okay, if you don't mind. Okay, I do see one update. This news article comes from the Economic Times, and it says Sri Lanka economy news live update. Sri Lanka will need $5 billion in next 6 months for essentials. Okay. It says Sri Lanka's cash-strapped government will need at least $5 billion in the next 6 months to maintain basic standards of living, including some $3.3 billion for fuel imports. The country's prime minister told Parliament on Tuesday. Okay, and this article is dated June 7th, 2022. Okay, all right, let's see. Okay, here's a quote. It says, only establishing economic stability, not enough. Only establishing economic stability, not enough. We have to restructure the entire economy. Okay, that was a quote by someone who is working to prepare an interim budget to balance Sri Lanka's battered public finances. Okay, the island nation of 22 million, it says, is suffering its worst economic crisis in 7 decades with a shortage of foreign exchange stalling essential imports. Okay, so that's to give you a quick update on what's happening in Sri Lanka. Okay. All right. So again, do you feel that food rationing will return to the U.S.? Why or why not? Okay. Armana Mizell shared, yes, I think so because of crop failures, shortages, gas prices, supply chain issues, increased population, staffing issues will contribute to the reason why rationing will be instated, reinstated. Okay. Thank you for sharing your comments. And I agree with what you said. Crop failures. Many there are some allegations that there are some people who believe that farmers are have been paid to destroy their crops. We know that in areas such as Los Angeles, California. Okay, shout out to LA. But in that particular area, we know that there are threats of drought. Drought is a very real situation there. Gas prices, gas. How much is gas in LA? Is it over $8? I did see reports of that. I know I just got gas tonight, and I got the unleaded, and it was $4.19 a gallon. Supply chain issues. I gave you all a recent update on that. Now stores are saying, many stores like your Walmarts and your Targets, they're faced with excess inventory. So, there may be markdowns coming with that. Increased population. Okay, let me know what you mean by that. Are you saying that um, people are moving to a certain area? Staffing issues with the labor shortage. A lot of companies are turning to robots to address the staffing shortages that we're currently seeing. Okay, but I do agree with your reasons on that. Let me see. I wonder what we get from Sri Lanka. That's a good question. Let's see. Let me see if I can look that up really quickly. U.S. and Sri Lanka. Okay, let's see if we have some type of connection. Okay, this is another government website here in the U.S. State.gov, state.gov, says U.S. relations with Sri Lanka. Okay, from the United States Department of State. All right, let's see what it says. Um, okay, so just to kind of give you an update. Okay, gas is $7 and $7, and gas prices in LA range from $6.50 a gallon to $8 a gallon. Okay, wow, that's a lot. Um, okay, let's see. Okay, so according to this fact sheet on state.gov, I just simply typed in U.S. and Sri Lanka. It says U.S. Sri Lanka relations are based on shared democratic values and a rules based regional and international order. Current U.S. policy in Sri Lanka aims to support Sri Lanka's democratic institutions, encourage its economic development, counter terrorism, and promote a free, open, and prosperous Indo Pacific region. Okay. Both governments intend to promote further economic cooperation and exchanges in maritime security and safety, and agree to pursue joint initiatives to enhance security, stability, transparency, and economic opportunity for mutual benefit. Okay. All right. So gas is between 4.19 and 4.35 in your area. Yep. That sounds about the same here where I'm located. Okay. It looks like over a period of time, the U.S. has given more than $2 billion to help Sri Lanka's independence. Um, let's see. I'm trying to see. I'm just skimming over the article to see if we get. It says the United States is Sri Lanka's largest export market and accounts for nearly $3 billion of the 11.7 billions of good Sri Lanka exports annually. It says that we import from Sri Lanka $2.7 billion in 2018, which was down 6.4% from 2017. So it looks like we do trade. It said, okay, so to answer, I know you were like, okay, Andrea, like, can you get to, can you get to my specific question? Um, right here, this is on state.gov. It says U.S. imports from Sri Lanka are mostly apparel. Okay. I have seen some clothing before to say like made in Sri Lanka. We import mostly apparel, but also rubber, industrial supplies, gemstones, tea, and spices. Okay. It says top U.S. exports to Sri Lanka. So, what we send them include animal feeds, medical equipment, soybeans, plastics, dairy products, wheat, cloth, and textiles. Okay. All right. Let's see. So, we need Sri Lanka related to strategic security. And they buy whatever we don't buy. Okay. That sounds about right. All right. Do you all have any more questions, comments, concerns? Again, I'm asking the question, do you feel that food rationing will return to the U.S.? Why or why not? Okay. So that's pretty much all I have for this broadcast. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? You all can let me know. Or I do have a link. I know it's late. It's almost 2 o'clock here where I am. I don't know. Maybe you all are, you know, um, I don't know. I could drop the link if anyone would like to come on and speak. Let me know. Um, or I can maybe do that another day when it's a little bit earlier. Okay, maybe you're all comfortable in your, in your night clothes and everything. Um, and maybe you don't want to be on camera. So maybe we'll do that another day. Okay. But if you would like to come on and say something on the live broadcast, let me know and I'll drop the link in the chat. Okay. Let me see. Party Time by DMX. Okay. Is that a song that you like, Armana? Let's see. I'm trying to understand the first part of what you said. You may have to retype it. Okay. Let me just see really quickly if there are any updates. I saw a couple of, let's see, I saw a couple of headlines. Is there anything else you all would like to know? Maybe some updates on? Let's see. I'll probably do a video on this tomorrow, but Apple held their big, I forgot what they call it, but it's like every year or maybe twice a year when they do their big announcement about what products are coming out. They had their meeting today. And so they did announce some of their new products. There are reports that the housing market may be cooling off. I'm just kind of naming now some stories that I'm going to be covering coming up soon. Let's see. Those are just a few of the stories that I see that are making headline news. Okay. Okay. She said, yeah, when things go crazy, I imagine that song playing. I'm telling you, it is, things are, seems like have been crazy lately. I do agree. Okay. All right, y'all. So, anyone else want to ask a question or post their comment? Listen, y'all. Again, I appreciate you for taking time out of your night or early morning to tune in and support the channel. Okay. Someone shared Armani jump on the live. Did you want to jump on the live and say anything? Let's see. Hold on just a moment. Let me I'll put the link in the chat. Let me get the link, y'all. Hold on. All right, so I just posted the link in the chat, and what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay, so if anyone would like to join the live, feel free. You can come on, turn on your camera, or if you don't want to turn on your camera and you have some things you want to share your thoughts, um, you're certainly welcome to do so. Okay. But if not tonight, then of course, you all know I'll be live other times. Um, I do know, like I said, where I am, it's actually 2:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I do know that it may be late where you all are as well. Okay. But again, did I post the link in the chat? Yes, there. Okay. All right. But if not, like I said, that's completely fine. Okay. All right. Anyone else have any comments, concerns, anything that you all want to talk about before we end the line? Okay. All right. So maybe we can plan for another time. Okay. That's totally fine. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to this broadcast of Andrea Speaks TV. Again, tonight's topic was food ration. Okay. So again, like I said, during World War I, World War II, even currently now in other parts of the world, other countries of the world, people are having to excuse me, people are being restricted in what they can and cannot purchase. And so, and it's something that's being, regulated and controlled. Right. You can come on. You don't have to turn on your camera. I do know that it's late, but, this is something that's being regulated and controlled by the government. And again, I'm not sharing this with you to make you frightened or panicked or anything like that. But, I just want you to be aware, to say, hey, okay, they're talking about, this is going on and that's going on. Let me make a plan to protect myself and my family. Okay. So that's the purpose of tonight's video. Again, if you are watching, okay, if you somehow, um, okay, all right, we have someone who wants to come on. Armana is going to join the stream. All right, Armana, I'm going to add you to the stream. Can you hear me, Armana? Oh, let's see. Hello?
I blocked my camera. Hello, I blocked my camera.
No, it's okay. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome.
Can you
Thank you
hear
so
me?
much for hopping on to the live. Are you able to hear me? Are you all able to hear? Okay, let me do it like this. Okay. All right. Hello, Armana. Welcome, welcome. And thank you so much for supporting the channel. Okay. Do you have, say whatever you want to say, whatever you want to share?
Hello.
Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, now I can. We were buffering before, and I blocked my camera.
Okay, hey, that's no problem. Okay, the floor is yours. What would you like to share? Thank you so much for coming on and hopping on the live.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I just think there's just so many things happening at once that
Yes,
it's just hard for us to even, prepare anything or fully prepare. And I just
right.
wonder how much of it is done deliberately and how
Hmm.
much is just, well, I don't want to say by chance, but um, a lot of things have been building up for a long time. So some things are being done deliberately, and then some things are just nature.
Right, right.
A lot of this we brought upon ourselves.
Okay, explain that if you don't mind. Some people may not, quite understand what you mean when you say a lot of it we brought on ourselves. So
No,
could you elaborate on it?
there's a lot of things that we've neglected, um, and we just let certain structures and systems deteriorate. And now it's coming back to it's like, for example, the power grid. That
Yes,
hasn't been expanded or reinforced um, for many years. And then now that there's more demand and everything, it's beginning to break down and it's overwhelmed.
right.
So that would be one example. And the healthcare system is another example. Just certain investments weren't made,
Hmm.
and now it's coming back to haunt us.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I
And
wonder, you mentioned the power grid, and we know, and I've even talked about it here on the channel. We remember back last year, the terrible snowstorm, the ice storm that happened in Texas, and how you know, at least a week went by and several people didn't have power. And it kind of made me wonder, like, well, and from my understanding, and if anyone is on the live and they have knowledge of this, or you let me know if you do, Armana, um, does Texas operate like they have their own independent electric grid? Is that correct?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay. And so with that said, it's almost kind of like, well, you know, we think of the United States as being a wealthy country, which it is, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, how do we go so many years without making investments in our infrastructure, without making investments in our electrical grid? So I definitely agree with what you're saying. Oh, I saw like a light. I didn't know if you wanted to show anything to show, but I something came up.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything else that you wanted to share, Armana? Are you still able to hear me? Okay. I'm not sure. I may have lost the connection, but um, are you there, Armana? Okay. It may. I'm not exactly sure what
No.
happened, but Armana, I do want to say thank you so much for supporting the channel, sharing information with me.
Okay, I think we're back up now.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I can hear you.
Okay, yes, I
Yes.
was just saying thank you for, your show. I really enjoy it, and just keep going,
Thank you.
and don't give up. And I enjoy the topics that you bring up,
Thank
and the
you so
fact,
much. Thank
yeah, and
you.
the fact that you want us to participate and you invite us to do that. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
okay.
Definitely I say that this is an interactive channel. And I learn so much from you and others that, watch the channel and they contribute. So I just want to thank you for being a loyal subscriber, supporter, sharing information with me. And I pray that, I know that you're in California. I'm here in Georgia, and I want to, say that I pray that you and your family, with everything that's going on in California, I want to say that I pray that you and your family, that you're able to get everything you need, that you're able to get water, everything that you need, to survive and thrive during the times that we're living in. I know that with everything going on now, it's very easy to get overwhelmed and feel like, am I doing enough? Am I not doing enough? But I do believe that we're all going to get through these times. And, you know, we just have to stay encouraged.
Well, thank you so much for that, and my prayers to you and your family too. And one last thing about water is that
Yes.
in the shower, what I do is I have a bucket in the shower with me, and that's
Hmm.
the gray water. So you could use that to water your plants in your garden and stuff. So you'd be surprised how much water collects in that bucket even after a short shower. So that's my little tip.
Okay. Thank you so much for that tip then. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay. Let's see. I have someone else who
Okay, well, I'm
is
going to get off
going
now.
to let's see. Or I can bring okay, all right, she hopped off. Okay, thank you so much, Armana. Okay, I have let's see, someone else wants to join. Jay Weezy 3 in 1. Okay, so I'm gonna add you to the stream. Okay, let's see. Okay, are you I'm gonna unmute you so you can speak. Okay, are you able to hear me? Uh-oh, hold on. Okay, let me try. Okay, let me see. Let me try this one.
I can hear you. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
Jay Weezy 3 in 1, you're on. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes, you're perfect. I can hear you perfectly.
Awesome. Man, this is an excellent topic tonight. I'm
Thank
not going to
you.
hold you
Thank
because I
you.
know it's late.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
I ain't going
You
to
know
hold
what? As I was doing my research, I'm always trying to find the topics that, that we need to know about that people aren't really talking about. And this was definitely one of those topics. So I appreciate you for being on. I appreciate you for everything that you've done to support the channel, to support me and my vision for the channel. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you.
Oh, thanks. Oh, you're awesome. I'm so glad you're doing this. This
Thank
is an
you.
excellent, excellent topic. Like, I never thought about food rationing in the form of like having a card or,
Mhm.
like tokens or some kind of something like that. But I mean, like, it could be like a different form of like food stamps. It's just
Yeah.
everybody kind of have something like that. But that's an excellent point. If we are in fact in a wartime or we get to that point, um, just something to think about is just making sure you have some stuff of your own, but then also, even if you do have some stuff, to still participate in that system too.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So let me ask you. So where you so the area where you currently are, what are you seeing in your area that's making you have concerns, if you have any concerns? What are things like in your area now, the times that we're living in?
I've seen things fluctuate, but I've been in different places at different times.
Mhm.
And so, and I've been in situations where there were like natural disasters, and it was hard to get to things. So it wasn't like, one big overwhelming thing. Well, I guess it was in the case of the natural disasters. I've
Mhm.
been in those situations, and I just don't want to feel like I felt in those times. And I just see, just in general, like, there's a definitely a decrease in products and things around. So I just don't want to be a person that doesn't have anything.
Right, right. And I don't say a fear, but one thing I keep thinking about is, I know that we can't I know we can't be like, well, I have everything I need or I'm fully prepared, because what does it mean to really be fully prepared? We don't know what's going to happen, right? But I feel like we can do what we can, just basic things like making sure we have water, making sure we have, enough food, at least to last us for a while. Like if we can't go out of the house for a week or two, we just gotta, do those things. So um
Oh, I
now
didn't
in
really answer your question. I haven't seen I think earlier you talked about, I haven't seen water. I haven't seen a decrease in, just water packs that are available. Or the price may be, it's going up maybe at least 15-20% in the last two months.
Okay. No. And you said that's on water?
Yeah, just water is the thing I noticed right now. Previously I've seen like a shortage in chicken and just the same old stuff. Some in different like tomato brands, like if you like a special kind of well known tomato paste or spaghetti sauce, I've seen
Mhm.
those be out, but now I see those kind of coming back. But that's the kind of over snacks, like snack cakes and some kind of chips and stuff like that that easily, something you don't have to cook. I see a shortage of that kind of stuff.
Right. Right. I've seen some of that as well. hmm Okay, let me see. Okay, was Armana saying that she wanted to join us? Let me see.
Come back. She's still here, Amana.
Okay, let me put the Armana, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat if you want to come on and join us. Y'all, I keep smiling. I don't know if you can, see it or not, but this is actually the first time that I've brought people on live with me during the episode. So I'm really excited. I was like, okay, I hope this works out. And I know I practiced with my husband on it, but it was at one point it was like echoing, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can ever do this, but everything is working out. So I'm really excited. Y'all can probably tell I'm smiling. I'm really excited. Okay. All right, let me see. Okay, Armana, if you want to join us, hold on, let me see what this says. Yes, I keep smiling. Okay, let's see, Armana, if you want to come on and I can have the three of us on the screen, we can do that. I just put the link in the chat. Okay, I'll give her a moment to join. Let's see.
What have you seen shortages in your area like in the last month or so? How's the farmers market looking to you?
Okay, yeah. So at the farmers market, I do one thing I noticed with the fruits. I'm noticing that like they'll still have like, for example, like oranges, but some days they may have organic. Some days, a lot of days they will have organic, but then there's some days where they won't have organic. It's kind of funny now that I'm talking about organic. It's kind of funny because I did a video about this where I was talking about how they're linking, like I think it's hepatitis A or something like that, to organic strawberries. Well, I was in the store yesterday and I wanted to buy strawberries, but then I thought about what they were saying. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna buy it. But then I felt crazy because I'm like, well, wait a minute, why am I letting them put? I shouldn't be letting them put fear in me. I should have just bought the organic straw. I should have just bought the organic strawberries. So I am noticing that um, the prices of meat. I'm noticing that has gone up. Um, what else am I noticing? Some of the water, they don't really have a lot of water like they used to. They still have it. But I don't know. Sometime in the farmer's market, I think a lot of times they just have that stuff in the back and, you just have to go and ask for it. But those are some of the things I'm noticing. Okay, let's see. Okay, all right. Anyone else would like to join the live? Okay, I put the link in the chat. Um,
I appreciate you staying up so late for us. Really
yes,
bringing us the news so we won't lose.
yes. Yes, because normally I would be asleep at this time, but now that it's the summer months, my schedule is a little bit more, flexible and everything. But I realized that okay, I'm on the East Coast, but it's other people, different parts of the country. And while it may be late early morning here or late night here, it's still early in other parts. So I said, well, let me try to go live at different times, that way I can catch different people, and hopefully that will help the channel grow too.
Will there be one? We're still waiting on our mama.
Yes, yes. Armona, where are you? Let me see.
Will there
I
be
don't
one?
know. Let me see. I haven't seen. Let me see. The last comment she said, that's the old feed I'm on now. Okay. Let me see if I can post it again.
Oh no, wait. A couple of comments ago she said she was going to bed, I think.
Okay. She may have signed off. Um, oh, thank you. Good night, everybody. Okay. Yeah. That's the old feed I'm not on now. Okay. So she may have already gone to bed. Okay. Let me ask you your thoughts on this. What do you think about the whole what do you think about oh look, I'm knocking the computer, rocking the computer and everything. What do you think about what's going on with this whole monkeypox? What do you think about
I'm not
going on?
concerned about monkeypox. I think it's always gonna be something, and at the end of the day, I just think I'm not as concerned right now. I think people are slacking on washing their hands and just going back to like a general lack of cleanliness, and I think
Mhm.
that's the most concerning thing. No matter what it is, you still gotta wash your hands, and I see a lot of people just, I mean, just basic lack of hygiene.
Right, right. I feel like, it's kind of like, okay, here goes something else. Not to say I'm not saying I don't take it seriously, but it's just like, okay, like we just went through the pandemic. That was, serious too. A lot of people were affected by that, but now y'all got something else. Like, what's really going on? It just make me ask a lot of questions. Um, it's just crazy.
See, I try not to talk like this, but since we here, I do think it's just another thing to kind of make us be more distracted. It's like turning up the temperature on the distractions. I think it's probably real, and it's just like kind of like Ebola. It's like every year it's something.
Hmm. And I think
And
we
I
have to
think it's
keep
just
in
another
mind.
thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you good. You good. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I think it's What was I about to say? I lost my train of thought now. It just seemed. Go ahead. You say what you were about to say. It'll come back to me. I'm just so
Every year, I'm
excited
just
to have
saying.
you on.
I'm
I'm
saying
just so
every year
excited that
it's something.
you're here.
I that's
Right, right.
so every part every year is just something, and I think it's just another thing, just like all this other stuff that's being amplified in the media, like in mainstream, that's going across several different genres and platforms. I think it's another thing that just kind of like keep you distracted. Like, no, you need to still buy water, get you some containers, find a way to purify your water,
Hmm.
have a garden. What kind? How are you going to protect those things? Are you talking to your neighbors about these things? And just kind of filling people out, because I still find people that when I kind of like approach this subject, they kind of look at me crazy, and I'm just like, I don't understand like how you not growing at least a tomato. Like, that's the easiest thing to grow.
Yeah, yep. It is. I planted my tomatoes a few days ago, and they're already they're already sprouting up. Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, monkeypox. How you feel about monkeypox? Are you concerned beyond just another thing, or you feel like it's something you need to change in your routine regarding the monkeypox?
Well, the thing I said about it is that I don't want to be fearful, like freaking out, like oh my goodness, like I do feel like we all need to still practice cleanliness and things like that, but you know I say the pandemic, I learned a lot from that. And when I talked about this earlier too. When I look at what happened with the pandemic and the fact that I think it was in November 2021, I talked about how they had found these vials of smallpox, and it was kind of like out of place. Like they found it, but it shouldn't have been where it was. And now I'm looking back. Okay, well, I remember that they found this vial, and it was smallpox, and you know, from my understanding, smallpox and monkeypox are they have some of the same symptoms, and like the virus strand or something like that is similar. It makes me feel like, okay, is this like is this intentional? Like what's really going on? And Bill Gates, I talk about him a lot. When I talk about this, it's kind of concerning that he's at the forefront of all this. I'm actually going to talk about this in an upcoming video. But there is I can't think about what state he's from, but they're introducing legislation to keep people like Bill Gates and all these other people um from coming together and saying, okay, well, we're going to do this. Basically, they're trying to prevent them from taking away American sovereignty. So I don't know. I just feel like it's possibly another form of population control. We know that Bill Gates has talked about that also. I just think it's evil that I know there have always been viruses out there, but I personally feel like it's evil that they're going through these steps, um, to really just take people out, basically. So, and they
Oh,
say this
yeah.
all to save the climate. Like they're trying to say it all goes back to climate change.
Yeah, they gonna tell us whatever we need to,
Hmm.
whatever we need to hear to be like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, yeah, I'll
yeah,
do it, whatever.
yeah.
Um,
'Cause, yeah, I definitely feel
but
like
it's interesting.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go.
No,
I
no,
think
go
it's
ahead. I'm
just
gonna be
it's all
quiet.
interesting. it's all,
Yeah,
it's all
yeah,
interesting because it's another side to this, and I don't think nobody needs to advocate. I just think let's bring in a whole nother point of view. Um, if it is climate change, just if it is climate change and things happening, and some of the things that's been projected with different climate change, some of the areas that'll be affected as far as like what that looks like after some of the climate change has happened. Does it need to be owned by one particular person, or like somebody that's smart that understands how to do things, or is that always a bad thing? Is that kind of like where we are? That's how we got, the country we have now. If certain people came together and said they wanted to own, this particular set of land or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So is that necessarily a bad thing if he is doing that? It's not. I mean, the killing people is not okay. Of course, that's not okay.
right,
And to go to what lengths to control the climate? Why control the? Why is it? Um, why would that be it?
it makes me. I think, and I've seen people say this too. It's kind of like what gives them the right, like who gave them, because these people are not people that were elected. So it's like what gives them the right to say, just because of their financial status, or however they decided to all come together, what gives them the right to say, this is what's going on in the world, we're concerned, this is the way we want it to be. Like, it's almost like, okay, forget what the United States people feel like. This is what we're saying we want to we want to do. So you got to think of it. If we have these people who are coming together, how much, whatever type of power they have, if they're coming together and they're making these rules, then it's almost like there's no checks and balances. It's no one saying, it's kind of like whatever they say goes. And that can be very scary, I think. But I agree with what you're saying. There are parts of history where people have come together, and they've come and they've conquered and taken over land, and made things the way that they want it to be. Again, it's just history repeating itself, right? But I think this time, now that people like us, and others, we know better and we're doing better, and we're saying, hey, we the first time you might have been able to do this, but we're not gonna go for it this time. That's just my
Uh,
thoughts, though.
it reminds me of this old spiritual by a singer named Lil Jon. I think it got something in the words. It's like there's more of us than it is of you. Something to that point of view.
Hmm. Is that the rapper Lil Jon?
Yes.
Hey, you
We
know,
too deep off in this, I think is the words. We too deep off in this. It's more of us than it is in the club. Something
okay,
to that effect.
right, right. I got you referring to a Lil Jon lyric. Okay, I love it. I
Yes.
love it.
So I think that's an excellent point. I wanted to bring that up. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Is that okay? Why? So your point is that okay, we haven't come together and said okay, this is who we want to represent us. What gives you the right to say you know better than the people at large? And
Mhm.
why should we go along with what you're saying?
Right. But then, I know even with that, like, it's, when you have a large group of people, it's hard to get everybody to agree. But, these people, they have an agenda. Think about this. You have Bill Gates. He went from solving computer viruses to now um he's trying to save the world from viruses. I said this earlier too, on a different live, but if you type in your phone now, if you type in, let me see how I had to put it. I saw this somewhere else online. Hold on just a minute. If you type in, who is the most powerful doctor in the world? Like if you ask Google, look what comes up in the top search results. You'll be shocked. So I think, it's basically, when I think about it, it's like, you know, it's giving these people more power, and that could be a dangerous thing, especially when you don't have anybody overseeing them, or saying, like checks and balances. um Even okay, like here in America, like, the president, to a certain extent, he can't just he can to a certain extent, but he just can't make different laws and pass different legislation without the approval of the House
There's
and the
some
Senate.
definite boundaries
Yeah,
against
so I
what
feel,
each person.
Right. So I feel like even, if you do have these people coming together, um, if it needs to be some checks and balances, even with that. Hmm.
Brother Kanye said no one man should have all that power.
Yeah, he said that. Yeah, yeah. But hey, Kanye, a lot of things he said, we might have clowned him, but he's making it's making a lot of sense now. It's
It
making
does.
a lot of
It
sense.
definitely does.
Yep, yep. It makes a lot of sense. Well, I could keep you on all night. Uh, but you let me know, um, whenever you're ready to get off. I'm having a good time. I know it's late though, but I appreciate you so much
No,
for tuning in and hopping on and supporting me in the channel. Um, the way that you do. I really, really appreciate your support.
not a problem at all. You're doing an excellent job, and I thank you for being consistent and keeping at this because I know it's not easy to do, and I know you got a family and doing like real life happening. So I appreciate you being on this late and just keep bringing us this awesome information.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, Amana, let me see. She made a comment. Sorry about every Wi-Fi reception is terrible. Okay, Armana said, sorry about that, everybody. The Wi-Fi reception in my area is terrible. The Conference of the Americas is being held here. Biden is here on Wednesday. First Lady is here tomorrow. Okay. And she said, nice to meet you.
Nice to
Okay.
meet you too, Amana.
Yes, yes. All right, we're gonna have to do this again, y'all. I'm gonna have to reach out to y'all and find a good time where we could get together again. Because I really enjoy this. I like to interact, especially on topics like these. I like to talk to people, get different perspectives. So we're gonna have to get a time where we can come on and do this again. Maybe we can have a panel discussion. Maybe y'all can I don't know, maybe y'all can lead the topic and I just come on and offer my 2 cents or whatever. But I really like this. Like I said, this is my first time having people on, and so I want to do it again. Look, I'm feeling official now. So I really appreciate this. Y'all can see I haven't stopped smiling since y'all have been on. So I really appreciate you all. But um unless you have anything else you want to add or share or talk about, I think I'm gonna go ahead and hop off because I gotta get up and get prepared for summer camp in the morning. Okay, let's see. Okay, all right. Anything else you want to talk about or share?
No, I'm gonna let you
Shout
go to
out or
sleep.
anything you want to
Nah,
let people know about
no
anything
shout out.
that you got going on? No shout out promo. Go ahead, feel
No,
free.
no shout out, no promo. Thank you,
Okay.
thank you, thank you. Have a good
Hey,
night.
okay, you too, and thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Okay. All right, y'all. So again, thank you all so much for staying up with me. This was so much fun. I hope that through all the fun that we had, I hope that you were able to take the information and use it to somehow start thinking about planning, maybe adding to your current plans so that you and your family can survive, sustain, and thrive through the current times that we're living in. So, again, thank you all so much for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that you all have a good night, a good rest of your week. I'll be back live sometime tomorrow. I don't know what time yet. I have a lot of different things going on, but make sure that you stay tuned. Okay. Let me see. There was a comment that came through. Hold on just a minute. Okay, everyone was just saying good night. Okay, good night, good night. Yes, thank you all so much for hanging out. I had a good time. You could tell I haven't stopped smiling yet. I can't wait to tell my husband about, hey, guess what I did on the live last night? Because of course he's asleep. But I can't wait to share with him and my daughter. She'll be tickled too. Um, I can't wait to tell them about what a good time we had. So again, Thank you all so much. I can't say thank you enough for believing in me, supporting me through the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that said, y'all have a good night. Stay tuned. I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you. Good night. Y'all take